What's up everybody, this is Army Boy back again, and today I am going to be reviewing Red Orchestra 2 Heroes of Stalingrad. Now, this game did get Game of the Year. I'm assuming it got it in 2011 as that's when it was released. However, I believe that this game does not deserve Game of the Year 2011 because of its shitty single player. Okay, this is going to be a review of the single player only. I am going to do the multiplayer at another time, but seriously, with the way that the single player is done in this game, it doesn't deserve Game of the Year, and there are multiple reasons for this. What also annoys me is the fact that it's made by one of my favourite developers, which is Tripwire Interactive. They were also people that made and developed Killing Floor. So these game designers are good at making this game. However, they've really messed up for some reason with the single player in Red Orchestra 2. For starters, it is glitched as fuck, especially for a game that came out like 2 or 3 years ago now. There are still major glitches throughout the entire game. Like, occasionally playing a game you'd see 1 or 2 glitches that break the composition and kind of piss you off. Every 5 minutes you will see a glitch playing this single player. This includes animations. There's lots of glitchy animations. Player models mess up of your team and the enemy team. I saw that happen quite often. The spawning as well. Occasionally I would spawn in the ground. Alright, that's flipping genius. Yeah, just spawn me right in the fucking ground. Different things like that. Even the main menu failed to load at one point. That is how buggy and glitched out this game is. Another thing as well, which seems to sort itself out occasionally, is the sprinting. When you first start up the game and you try and sprint anywhere, the frame rate for the sprint is terrible. It's like 3 frames per second. You hardly move until it's jerky as fuck. You don't know where you're running. It's just really bad. And the annoying thing is it's fixable as well. Glitches like these, animations, the AI messing up and screwing around is all fixable. So there really is no excuse for it to glitch like this. It's just poor design, flat out. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about, and this is probably the most annoying thing for me. This is the most standout, stupidest part about this entire game, and that is that the AI is completely retarded. Alright, I don't know who the hell programmed it, but it is the worst thing I've ever seen, ever. Okay? And especially in a game where the idea is that you command your troops, you work as a team, you work with your teammates to accomplish a mission, yet your teammates are so dumb. They do not obey a single command that you give them. The command feature, shall we say, in the game is completely wasted because the AI just doesn't do what a goddamn thing it's told. You know, you tell the team to like attack a certain area and they'll just like sprint around and getting mowed down by the enemy. This happened multiple times throughout the game. I'd, try and use the team command feature and my teammates would end up just getting slaughtered. This waste your reinforcements, because the whole idea is that you have a certain amount of troops, you only get so many reinforcements until you're down to like your last couple of men, and your teammates just get mowed down constantly. It ruins the whole aspect of this team command system. Okay, it might as well not even be there because it doesn't work. The AI can't handle it. It's just too dumb. There was even a point where I had the AI, my teammates were running in front of a tank and just getting gunned down by it. Like 10 or 12 guys did this. I sat there and just watched them do it and was like, well, that's pretty much screwed this whole mission. And at first I thought, okay, maybe the AI is a little bit more dumb because I'm playing on the 3rd difficulty. There's 4 difficulties. I'm playing on the 3rd one, which I think is called Battle Hardened. I can't quite remember. Yeah, I think it is Battle Hardened. I thought maybe because I'm playing on the harder difficulty, the AI is deliberately made dumber, you know, so that it makes the game a bit more of a challenge. Nope, I was completely wrong. Do you know why? Because the AI is just as dumb on the other team. I thought, yeah, it's going to be your teammates are dumb and the enemy are smart. Nope, completely wrong. The enemy is just as dumb as your teammates. You would be storming a building and you'd run into a room and there'd be like 4 guys stood in the corner of the rooms facing away from you. Okay, facing away from your position. They wouldn't turn around to engage you. They wouldn't do anything. They'd just be sat there staring at the wall. Okay, it's ridiculous. Multiple times during the game there would just be enemies just standing still. Alright, just sitting ducks. You know, you just shoot them. They wouldn't react at all. It completely broke the concept of the realism in the game. There were occasions though where it did shine through, like you'd be in a firefight and the enemies would start to flank you, or they'd lay down heavier suppressing fire or start chucking grenades at you. That's where it really started to shine through, but most of the time they just sort of stood around and, you know, you just picked them off one by one. It made it so fucking easy. One of the other things that I found quite annoying, your teammates are way too verbal. Alright, they literally talk and shout non-stop, which does get quite annoying after a while. And they don't even say useful things. Right, occasionally they'll be like MG or a Panzer or enemy infantry or whatever. But you don't need to hear it 12 times in a minute. You know, seriously, and they scream and they shout when they get hit, which is all the time because they're getting mowed down. Seriously, we're way too verbal and it's got annoying, okay? They don't have to talk constantly giving me updates on things I already know about, like machine gun positions and stuff, especially when they do it 12 or 15 times in a row. Okay, I don't need to hear it. Okay, so moving on to some good points, okay, because there are good points in this game. It's not just glitches and stupid AI. One good thing, they really did push for the realism, okay. They really did try on that, and there's a lot of aspects that I'm going to go through that really push that realism. Now, the squad command thing, although I just did slag it off, it's good. You know, you can, in terms of variety, you know, there's a lot of variety of what you can do. You can tell units to attack areas, defend areas. You can select individual units from your main squad, so you can have like riflemen follow you, you can have the machine gunner follow you, the marksman, anti-tank, assault group. You know, you can pick out the individual squad members from the main squad, okay. You can tell them to take cover behind things, different stuff like that. The only trouble is it doesn't work because of the dumb AI, okay. It's something that I mentioned a minute ago. Despite this variety and this well-made command system, it doesn't work, okay. It would be great if it did, but unfortunately it doesn't, and it's just a complete waste of time. It's almost not worth being there, okay. A very old game, Brothers in Arms, as far as I can remember, Roadkill 30. I don't know whether the other one, I can't remember the second Brothers in Arms, but Roadkill 30, that had a squad command system. It worked perfectly. You could tell your troops, tell your squad to take cover behind things, suppress fire, attack positions, flank maneuvers. It was brilliant. It works so well, and on this it's just wasted. It's a wasted aspect. Okay, mission objectives rarely differ from capture this, defend that. Now, as a game, this would get annoying and boring after the first 2 levels, because you are basically doing the same things over and over. You attack a position, you defend a position, that's it really. It doesn't really change from that. However, this is good for the realism, because in 1940 on the Russian front, that was pretty much all anyone was doing, was attacking positions or defending them. So that really does push on the realism there, and that works quite well. One other thing I found really cool is sight adjustment. How many games do you know where you can physically adjust your weapon sights. Okay, that's not a game, that's simulator kind of mechanics. You know, it's a brilliant concept that they have here, where you can adjust the range on every weapon. Literally every weapon in the game you can adjust the sights on, to shoot at enemies that are further away, or to reduce your range for when enemies get closer. Even the sniper rifles have a battle sight, okay, which is really cool. That's where you don't use a scope at close range, you use a smaller sight which is located underneath. That was amazing. Seriously, I want to see that in more games. Okay, I want to see that in a Call of Duty game or something like that. You know, that is a brilliant concept. I don't think I've ever seen a mechanic like that in such depth and detail as Red Orchestra. So that was really cool. I enjoyed that. Okay, next thing is a limited HUD. Now, this normally only occurs in like the hardcore modes of games, like Metro 2033, and I believe Last Sight as well. That had a limited HUD, but if you put it on the Ranger mode, you had like no HUD at all throughout the whole thing. On this, you have a limited HUD. It only shows up when sort of necessary, you know, if to tell you an objective, or if you get hit and start bleeding, which is something else I want to talk about in a minute. Which is kind of cool. Alright, that's something that's quite realistic. You know, you're never too sure how much ammo you have left. You've always got to be constantly checking your ammo, conserving on ammo, reloading regularly. That was cool. You know, checking your maps and things, not just looking at a HUD the whole time. And a lot of games now, I feel, really overuse the HUD. Like, you have maps, radars, ammo, health, teammate, you know, all on one screen. It's just way too much. Take it away, limit the HUDs, it's so much better, and this game does it really well. Okay, moving on. Next thing, the panic bar, which is kind of the opposite to like a health bar, but you don't really have a health bar in this game. When you get hit, if you get hit lightly or just get wounded, you'll start to bleed, and then you can bandage yourself up. Similar to what you can do in the Stalker game, except in less detail. It tells you where you've got hit, as in Stalker it doesn't, but it doesn't tell you to what degree you've been hit. But you can bandage yourself up. If you get hit too badly or too much, you just flat out die. You know, there's no health bar, regenerating health or any crap like that. But the panic bar is pretty much like your suppression rate. You know, if you're in heavy combat or under a lot of enemy fire or artillery or a tank or something, then this bar starts to drop. You start hearing your heart beating faster, the screen goes grey, aiming becomes more difficult, things like that, which was really cool. It's a really cool aspect. You don't often see that kind of thing in first-person shooters anymore. But the panic bar again added more realism to the game. You know, you try to avoid too heavy a combat, or you know, you try to not get suppressed or get too close to artillery strikes or tanks. Things like that really made it cool. All the maps and character models are presented very well. However, they are lacking in graphical quality. This is mainly for the maps. The player models look fine. They look great, very realistic, with the correct markings and equipment. That really looks cool, but the graphics quality in the maps is lacking. However, it doesn't bother me so much because Tripwire is a company that actually works on the gameplay more than the graphics, okay? People like Infinity Wards that spend all their time, all their resources and money on graphical design and just fuck the gameplay. Tripwire is one of them companies that works towards the gameplay properly, okay? If you play Killing Floor, like, some of the maps in that don't look brilliant, but the gameplay is fun, so you know, you hardly even, like, you never find yourself looking at areas of the map and going, oh my god, that looks disgusting and horrible, because you're too busy focusing on the gameplay, which is fun, you know. So the graphics don't really bother me in this, but if you're one of these people that like graphics, oh I love graphics so much, then Red Orchestra 2, you're not going to be very impressed by it. Okay, there are two campaigns throughout the game which work in chronological order. That means you play as German first and then Russian, because if you know any history, you'll know that the Germans lost and the Russians won. So it makes sense to play German first and win for a bit, and then play as Russian and win overall. So that's kind of cool. Adds to the realism. You actually have to play the German campaign before you can do the Russian one. And to be honest, the Russian campaign isn't much different, to be honest. Doesn't really deviate from the defend this, capture that kind of aspect. It's almost identical, except different weapons, a different tank, and well, different teammates pretty much. You've got the Russians instead of the Germans, which to be honest are better in my opinion because their voices are less annoying. Okay, moving on to another good aspect, the training parts. Now this is probably the main reason to play the single player, because it tells you essential things to know for the multiplayer. There is squad command training, there is tank driving and using the support, so like calling in artillery, air strikes, rocket strikes, different things like that. So that's probably the main reason to play the single player, is just to learn that. And you learn these all in the German campaign to start with. They're easy, they take like 5 minutes, you just got to push the right buttons and it works. However, it is also glitched. The training parts are good, but they are glitched. And the reason for that is, if you're a proper PC gamer like me, you tend to enjoy the same control setups for different games. So that it doesn't get too confusing. Like I play several games a day, you know, and swapping between each game, if the controls are different, it takes, you know, a good 5-10 minutes to get the controls set up again, and then you'll be making mistakes. It's just annoying. So I like to set my own control scheme. You know, I have a basic setup: F flashlight, G grenade, H health, whatever you want to call it. But if you set your own key bindings and then play the training missions, the hints and what it's telling you to do are still set in the default control system. So it will tell you to push one button which you set as another button. So you've got to sit there and either go back through the controls and find which button you set it to, or sit there and mash every button on your keyboard from left to right until you find the right one. Okay, that is a glitch. It should know that you've changed it. It should tell you to push the button that you changed it to. It shouldn't tell you the default. Okay, that's a basic. You know, that is a basic thing that's fixable. Loads of games, loads of early games, if you went through and changed all the key binding to start with, if you got a prompt to do something during the game, it would tell you to push the button that you set it to, not the default. Okay, that is a basic thing that shouldn't be an issue. Yeah, it shouldn't be a problem. Okay, the tank driving is quite fun in the game. There's like 2 or 3 missions, I think, for the Germans. I'm not quite sure how many there are for the Russians yet, which involves tank driving. You drive the Panzer something or other, I can't remember the exact number, or make of Panzer for the German side, and for the Russians you got the T-34, which is a really cool tank, one of my favourite tanks. And this is fun, this is well done. The tank driving in this is brilliant. Okay, you've got like 4 or 5 different squad members. You've got the commander, the hull gunner, the main gunner, the driver. It's brilliant. Okay, and you have to take on the different roles. You get to command the different members within the tank group and things like that. That is a fun thing to do. The tank driving is probably one of the best things about the game. Fun as hell. However, if you get stuck on anything, low walls, a tree, a gate, a crater, anything like that, you are stuffed. You are a sitting duck. The enemy just blows you to pieces. Okay, so when you're doing the tank segments, you got to be really careful not to go too out of control and get your tank stuck, because things like low walls and trees that you should have been able to just plow through, I got stuck on and just got completely murdered. So that's the only downside to the tank driving, is you've got to be really damn careful. Okay, because even the AI won't like unstick you. Once you're stuck, that's it. You're completely fucked. The tank segments were also good because the AI seemed to be at its smartest doing the tank segments. Telling your tank crew where to drive, things like that was fun, enjoyable, and you know, was quite simple to be perfectly frank. Unlike with the infantry where they just run all over the place and get completely gunned down and just waste your reinforcements and just make the game bad, really. So as a final roundup and score for Red Orchestra 2 Heroes of Stalingrad single player, I am going to give it a 5 out of 10, which to be honest is more than what I was originally planning to give it when I first started playing the game. The reason for that is it is an okay game once you can get past the glitches and the bad AI. Once you get used to that, or you know, it stops happening for a time, the game is actually okay. It's medium. I'm not even going to go as far in saying it's good, because even the good aspects in the game are put aside and put down because of this bad AI, this, you know, bad programming and the glitches. So if those two things were taken away, the AI and the glitches, it would be, you know, a really good game, probably worthy of Game of the Year by then. But as far as I'm concerned, 5 out of 10. Play it for the achievements and maybe get it for the multiplayer, because I know the multiplayer is a lot better. I have played that before. Like I said, I will be doing a review of the multiplayer at some point. But like I say, overall, if only half your game, which is the multiplayer aspect, is any good, and your single player is absolutely terrible, then it's not Game of the Year. Simple as. Okay, I know a lot of games now get Game of the Year that are barely even playable. So, you know, as far as Game of the Year goes, this was a better game to get it than some have recently. But yeah, overall 5 out of 10. That is the final verdict for Red Orchestra 2 Heroes of Stalingrad. Would I recommend it? No. Alright, I'm Army Boy. Cheers for watching this review of the single player. There will be a review of the multiplayer in due course. Stay tuned for that. Okay, thanks, bye.